Today is February 2nd, 2025. It's Groundhog's Day, and unfortunately, I think Puxatawny Phil saw his shadow, so it means we're gonna get a little bit more winter. I'm really ready for the weather to go get better. I'm ready for the spring. With that said, I want to talk about the winter effect. Now, this is a book that I have not read, but I did watch a YouTube video on it that really gave me an interesting insight, if you want to think about it that way. And so, I guess the premise of the book, and more so the YouTube video, is that winners tend to win more often, and losers tend to lose more often. And so, you've probably heard about, the rich get richer, poor get poorer. Kind of the similar concept applies there, except it's probably a little bit more fleshed out than just a saying. It's certainly a book that is now, one of the top books that I want to read on my list. So we'll definitely give it a read and see how it goes. But anyways, I want to talk more about the YouTube video and articles that I've been reading about the winter effect and kind of how it's already sort of made, at least what I've noticed, an impact in my life. So one of the things that I did yesterday, it was a Saturday, was put up some ceiling fans. Now I've never really done it on my own, but I just woke up. I was very energetic and I was like, well, let's just do it. And I put up one and then I put up another one. And having done that for the very first time, I mean, I felt like I was invincible. And do I think that it implies the winner effect? I don't think so necessarily, but I think today is what really made an impact for me. And that was so yesterday, out of the blue, I just went ahead and said, all right, let's just install these ceiling fans. Technically, I was just going to do one, but then I decided to do two of them. Today, when I woke up, it was, instead of it being something that I'm exploring, it was something that was expected, right? Instead of, oh, wow, I put up two ceiling fans, oh, I should put up two ceiling fans. Um, and, today was a rather tough day for that. It wasn't sunny. The rooms that I needed to put the ceiling fans up for, um, they weren't as well lit as the ones that, I put up yesterday. And, it was a rather cloudy day. So, already the mood's affected, all of that fun stuff. But, I think the fact that I powered through it, the fact that, for the very first ceiling fan that I put up today, I had to redo it because I forgot to put a trim piece on. So I had to like take it apart, put it all back together. That was very frustrating. But I think the part that I appreciate and I think was more insightful for me was not the fact that I am comparing what I have achieved, but more so that I was able to power through and do more that way. Um, and that kind of goes along with the video that I was watching, which kind of talks about don't count your wins as the accomplishments that you have, rather the effort. And I think this morning I basically started up with counting my accomplishments, right? Hey, I put up two ceiling fans yesterday. I should be able to do two of them today. But it was a lot harder, right? I literally this morning I was like, okay, so it took me about an hour each to put them up. Today it should take me a half an hour, right? Because I already know what I need to do basically, right? I have the ideas. Um, and obviously, as I mentioned before, that for the very first one that I put up today, I had to redo it. So it obviously took me about an hour, maybe a little bit more. And I think it was because I was a little overconfident, and then of course all the excuses that I gave earlier, that definitely made things hard. It made it difficult. I did not want to do it. I thought about just leaving everything, quitting, but I powered through it. I didn't want to I didn't want my day to go that way, if that makes sense, right? I kind of thought about the fact that, well, if I do quit, what am I going to do? I'm probably just going to browse the internet, random articles, random things to buy. Uh, Most likely, probably just binge watch a TV show. Currently watching Dexter, which is pretty interesting. Um, or, even just binge watching YouTube. And I didn't necessarily want to do that. I wanted to get the thing that I wanted to get done. I didn't want to give up. And I think that to me is more of a win than, oh yeah, I put up two ceiling fans yesterday and I put up two ceiling fans today, right? It's the fact that I powered through it. The other thing that video mentioned was you can use your wins to chain other wins. And so for me, I usually skip breakfast. More so because, just of a time thing. But, after I put up a ceiling fan, I was like, all right, I'm going to go cook breakfast. So then, we went in, we cooked breakfast. And then after breakfast, I took that win essentially. And then I basically said, all right, well, let me just go ahead and clear out my dishwasher and load the dirty dishes in. So we did that as well, right? And we were just cranking things out. And then after that, after we enjoyed a really great breakfast, came back upstairs, installed the second ceiling fan. Um, and, after that, did I feel like I was invincible? Yesterday, I certainly did, but not necessarily today. But looking back at how things went, I'm glad that I powered through it. You know, that isn't to say that today was perfect. That isn't to say that yesterday was perfect. But um, it's, as I mentioned in my last journal entry, I think it's the small steps to get to where you want to be, right? Even if it's the small step possible, as long as it's consistent, as long as it's a step forward, it's better than nothing. um, and I'm very glad that I did that today. After I put up the ceiling fans, I was able to go spend some time with my family, uh, quality time even. And that's something that's very important to me. I came back home afterwards and I was able to do more chores along the way. And here I am recording this journal entry, which I feel like I haven't done in so long. But just being able to reflect through something like this, being able to, uh, I think, spend my time wisely is where I'm trying to get to. Is a massive overall win, and I think it's made up of these smaller wins, if that makes sense. The other thing that I want to kind of point out is the thing that I did today and yesterday, put up these ceiling fans. Uh, these were things that I did for the very first time, right? I've put up ceiling fans before, but it was with help. Um, and more so, it was me assisting rather than actually doing it. And today I was like, all right. And even yesterday, more so, uh, we're just going to do it ourselves and we're going to see if we can do it. And I think that curiosity and drive for, hey, let's just see what happens, really helped, right? It helped me feel really good about myself. It helped me overcome some challenges. Um, it was something that was unknown, right? It was something that was risky. It was definitely out of my comfort zone, and I think the fact that I took that step forward uh, really sheds light on, in hindsight, I just put up a ceiling fan, right? I put up a handful of ceiling fans. But for me, it was something that was a little outside my comfort zone. And the fact that I did that shows growth. Now, do I think that I need to always do something out of my comfort zone? I don't necessarily think so. But even trying to target at least one thing that's outside of my comfort zone will help me get towards the person that I really want to be. Um, as far as wins, I think I agree with the video. I need to count the effort more than the accomplishments. I think the more I look at the accomplishments, the more I want to raise the bar, right? I want to move the needle. hey, I put up 2 ceiling fans yesterday. How about I put up 4? Oh, I put up 4 today. How about 8 tomorrow? Right. Um, and that kind of goes along with, my career even, right? It's like, well, hey, I did all these things the last year. How do I do more? How do I get better? And I think to some degree we do need that, but uh, it can also get kind of toxic if that kind of makes sense. And I don't want to necessarily do that. I want to be able to try the things that I might not try in general and fail at that. Obviously, I'd like to succeed and win more, but I'd rather try than not try because I'm too afraid to give up that position that I'm in. If I reflect back to, you know, if we stick to the work category, I've given up job offers, right? I've had managers come up to me and say, "Hey, we're hiring. Would you like to, switch teams within the company?" And I've turned it down because I think I'm too comfortable with my current position. I'm afraid to, you know, come I'm afraid to give up the praise and the uh, accolades that I get in my current team only to go over to a different team and ruin someone's expectations, right? These managers, they've heard a lot of good things about me. They've heard great things about me. And I don't want to necessarily come out as an imposter, right? With a software engineering job, imposter syndrome, I think is very high. I'm sure that might be true for a lot, if not most careers, but it's certainly true with mine. Uh, but I think that's a separate journal entry where, why I even feel like I'm an imposter, because that's something that needs some reflecting. But, I've certainly given up opportunities that might have been better for me because I was too comfortable in the current space that I was, right? I was too scared to not be winning if I'd make that jump, right? And I think that's something I need to keep in mind, and I think I need to be more open about when it comes to uh, not just my career, but in life in general, right? I don't want to be uh, stuck where I am because I'm used to hearing all these great things. Because eventually, those great things they'll be the norm, right? It'll be expected, just like it was this morning, where, hey, yesterday I put up 2 ceiling fans. Today I better put up 2 ceiling fans, right? So, moral of the story, I don't want to get too comfortable is the thing. And I think that's what I've been getting at recently, where it's like, yeah, I think I am comfortable. And that even goes to show for the type of work that I do, right? I tend to choose the work that I know for a fact I can get done. I know for a fact that it's even possible. Whereas, there might be some other type of work that, there are too many unknowns, right? Or there are more unknowns that I'd like for it, and it's uncomfortable. But I think when we're uncomfortable, we grow as opposed to when we're comfortable. Now, again, do I think that I need to choose the hard stories, the more uncomfortable stories all the time? I don't think so. I think you can also learn in parallel to being comfortable, right? I think the first couple of years I was rather comfortable with my job, and I think I was able to put more in and get better because it wasn't a matter of fact of, hey, am I even going to get this thing done? It was, okay, I know I'm going to get this thing done, but how can I make it better? Right? How can I be better than the last sprint? So I think a balance is what's needed, but I really like the idea of chaining wins, right? Even if they're small wins, and the ability to change your perception, right? For example, uh, instead of me beating myself up because I installed a ceiling fan incorrectly today because I forgot a trim piece, which I did for a little bit. I ended up changing my perception and said, "Hey, uh, you know, it was challenging, it was tough, it was frustrating that I had to redo all that work, but I powered through it. I showed, uh, I showed, a stronger work ethic in a way, and I powered through it, and I didn't really let the excuses win, and I controlled the day, right? I didn't accept defeat, and I think that's very important. Um, so I think changing perspectives, changing the perception of, hey, if things aren't going well, am I able to learn from it, right? Am I able to get something out of it, um, is important as well. But I think I'm going to end it here. I think I definitely do need to read the book. I might make another journal entry after I finish reading the book, but I'm certainly interested to see how this impacts me in the long term about just viewing my wins as opposed to uh, and rather celebrating the effort that it took to win as opposed to uh, only looking at my losses, right? I think I'm the kind of person that really beats themselves up, right? I look at my losses. I look at, man, this person at work asked me to present something out of the blue, and I absolutely had no idea what was going on. How could I do that, right? What can I do to be better? And now, in the back of my mind, I'm replaying that scenario and, thinking about, okay, what are the things that I could have said to do better? Um, I think to some extent that's also important. We need that. But I think it's also important to, specifically with the winner effect, is to take account for the things that you have won. Because if you win once, you're likely to win again, and that just kind of snowballs, right? Versus if you only look at the losses, your perspective and your perception is, man, I always lose. Why do I suck? Um, to some extent, that's important, right? We need to learn, but on the other hand, I think it's important to know what we won at, right? What we did to get closer to the person that we want to be. Um, I've been listening to a founders podcast on Jensen Wong, and there he talks about how Jensen Wong really beats himself up, and that's how he's able to be more successful. That sounds like it's the complete opposite of the winner effect to an extent, because the winner effect, is more about, wow, I won, versus, hey, you suck, dude. You need to do so much better. Here are the things you can do better. And I think that's where I normally lean at, and I want to see if there even is a balance to achieve within the two, right? I think always looking for wins, always uh, thinking about winning is futile, right? Because I think it'll change your perspective into being someone that's overconfident, that's cocky, that thinks that they're the best in the world, um, when they're not, right? I think it's important again to grow, and in order for that to happen, it's important to be critical of oneself. I think people that are highly critical of themselves, more than the people around them, are the ones that are truly trying to improve and get better. And if if we don't do that, then I'm not sure if we can even improve at the higher rate. So I think it's certainly a tool in the toolbox to use to chain the things that we want to do, but I think too much of it is also bad. Just like the other edge uh, of the sword, right? The other side of the sword, where it's basically like, well, you don't want to always beat yourself up, because then you have a lower self-esteem, you're not as confident, and you might actually lose out on a ton of opportunities like I have with my previous, you know, uh, job offers even. So, yeah, I mean, I think that it's a great tool? I think so. I'd love to see how it does impact me. Does it make me into an overconfident person? I certainly hope not. I don't want to always beat myself up, and I don't always want to see myself as someone who's invincible, right? But I think it's a great tool, all in all. Thanks.